Hey, viewfinders. Producer slash editor Matt, aka Stormageddon, here at the top of the show to let you know that you're going to hear some weird audio stuff, and I'm aware of it. I did the best I could to clean it up, but MJ is going to speed up and slow down a little bit, as well as there are going to be some rough cuts between words and phrases. Like I said, I tried to repair the file to the best of my ability, but we just had some major issues with this. So apologies in advance. It's still very listenable. There are just some moments, so I just wanted to give you a heads up at the top of the show. But enough about that. Let's get into the episode.
You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about realizing your potential. I'm MJ.
And I am Matt, aka Stormageddon.
And joining us for this episode is our favorite Josh of all trades, Josh Coslar.
Hey, folks.
Welcome back. It's good to have you back, sir.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I think this is the third time. Very excited.
Yeah. Second time talking about a game.
Yeah.
Third time on the show.
For anyone who might not remember, Josh was our DM when we did our actual play podcast.
Which was a lot of fun and has gotten a lot of positive response. It actually is what got me a guest spot on a different tabletop game-related podcast called Gameplay Radio.
Amazing. I'm thrilled to hear that. That was such a fun game. You guys were a great virtual table to have.
We need to do it again.
Absolutely. I've got another one ready to go.
Excited.
Because I can't think of a better way to finish up season 3, but we'll get to that, and we're getting ahead of ourselves. Josh, why don't you let the folks know what you do and catch them up on what you've been up to?
Excellent. So I am a stage combat instructor and prop armorer. You can follow me in that adventure at False Edge Armory on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm sure we have another one, all the social medias. Right now, we're actually producing our own weapons from scratch for the first time for theater companies and schools and the like, and we're really excited to jump into it as a full-fledged entertainment company.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's making swords for a living is up there as far as day jobs go.
It is.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, Josh, since you were on last, there have been some new choices to kind of update.
Yes.
In your ideal playthrough, would you kill or rewrite the Geth?
Kill. I just, free will is such a powerful thing. There's like a line I can't cross there.
What about the collector base? Would you destroy it or give it to the elusive man?
Destroy it.
Okay. And as for your Mass Effect 2 romance, do you stay loyal to Mass Effect 1 or do you find someone new?
I romance Jack.
There you go.
That's why I'm here. We're all on the same page. I do what I'm supposed to do. It's
The answer is romance Jack.
All right. I would if I could, but apparently she's not queer, which is a crime, okay?
Yeah, and
I agree.
that's completely against her character because she talks about having a girlfriend at one point. So yeah, nonsense. I call bullshit BioWare.
Ridiculous. Let's get into the summary. After some housekeeping on the Citadel, Shepard works with a fellow Spectre to investigate a possibly indoctrinated Hanar diplomat. He received the tip from a master thief he'd been hunting for a while, Kasumi Goto. With Bao and Kasumi's help, Shepard tracks down the traitor and prevents their plot to disable the Hanar homeworld's defense system. I'm saying that 3 times fast. Then we're off to Grissom Academy, where Cerberus forces have invaded in the hopes of capturing some of the brightest biotic minds in the Alliance. We are met with another familiar face and learn that Jack found her calling in caring for and training these teenagers. When we help the students get off the station, we must decide if we're going to put these kids in support roles or directly in the fighting.
Yeah, there's a lot for us to cover here, folks. For those who may be tuning in for your first episode to be this one, which would be odd, but welcome. We have not done our typical Citadel check-ins in the last couple episodes because there was a lot to cover. And admittedly, there is a lot to cover here, but I think if we don't catch up now, we're going to have to do like a 4-hour episode down the line. And frankly, I just don't want to do that.
Just all the Citadel nonsense.
I mean, we could probably make an entire episode out of it, but we
I
won't.
don't want to.
I want to watch that. What do you mean?
Why don't we start with our check-ins? There are a lot less this time, and we're at a point now where the check-ins are the kind of things that I really like that we mentioned in a previous episode, where you don't really have a conversation. It's more you go and they talk to you for a bit and move on. You don't have to like navigate menus. And I like that the conversation feels more natural and flows a little better in this game. And we get to experience that with a bunch of different folks on the ship.
Yeah, it's a bunch of one-liners that you can kind of cycle through if you really want to press them. But then eventually they run out of something to say. So you don't have to worry about like, you have something new to say? No? Okay, well, let me go through this menu that I had to open up in order to find out that you had nothing new to say. Great. One thing that I want to talk about before we proceed is there are these two guards that supervise the war room.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't really talked that much about them. We kind of wonder why they're there, what they're protecting. They kind of got stuck with us when we took the Normandy off of Earth.
Yeah, they're just kind of there and serving now because they're on the ship already. They can't go back.
Yeah. And as I'm crossing through, one of them is talking about wanting to get revenge on the races not participating in our war effort and basically saying like, yeah, I hope we win this war and then we get some revenge. And the other one is like, do you hear yourself? Like, and I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on between you two and I wish I could stay here and learn more.
Right? It's clear that they are constantly talking throughout the day, which also makes me wonder like what kind of work they're capable of and if they are working as hard as you might think they are just because they are chit-chatting constantly whenever you walk by them.
I think chit-chatting while you're working is a bad thing. I think it's more like, what is your function? Like, is your function to make sure that nothing like the collectors boarding the Normandy the last time happens again? Or like, is this make work for you? Like, I'm just curious and concerned.
That's fair. I think that's a fair assessment.
But I also think that they're a good way for Shepard to get a sense of what the average soldier is thinking.
Right, because you can't actually talk to your average crew, which still annoys me that you can't like just check in with how things are going or like have a casual like hangout or like go sit in the cafeteria. Like none of that stuff is really possible.
I miss Gardner.
Yeah, right?
Miss Sergeant Gardner was the best.
Well, except when he was being a jackass.
He wasn't really a jackass.
Even when he was a jackass, he was amazing.
That's true.
I miss him every day.
There wasn't really a whole lot said by the crew. Like, Garrus had something to say about Leviathan. It doesn't change much, but makes it feel a whole lot bigger.
Yeah.
Liara hopes that it helps. Oh, something that I had that maybe you didn't. Did you authorize Donnelly and Gabby coming back to the Normandy?
I did, but they're not on the Normandy yet. I did that when I went to the Citadel this time.
Okay, so because I had already done it, Donnelly and Adams were having a debate when I got there. If Edie is the Normandy or if she's a passenger on the Normandy like we are.
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, technically, I guess the answer is both.
Yeah, and Edie does not fucking help.
No, of course not. Edie is great, but Edie rarely helps when it comes to that stuff.
Edie's just like, Donnelly raises a good point. Adams, you raise a good point. Okay. Let me know when you have that conversation. I'm curious which side you fall on.
Okay.
And then we will revisit which side I fell on.
Okay, will do.
Javik said something that made me laugh. Talking about Liara. You think she's never seen a Prothean before? My guy.
No, you're the last of your kind. Hello. And I also appreciate that when you talk to Javik about Leviathan, he pretty much says it makes no difference. Like now we just know that they've been screwing up and screwing us over for even longer than we thought. And they're still the cause of the problem. Like it doesn't instill any confidence in him that they're going to help because he's just mad that now we know how it started and it still sucks.
Yeah. And then I had a fun interaction with Cortez where he's just like, why am I even worried about you? Get inside an ancient diving machine and just drop into an ocean? Sure, why not? Why do I worry? It's fine. It was just like, half of that was your idea, my man.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, that reaction is uncalled for because you were egging me on more or less with ease while the rest of the crew was not so agreeable about it.
That is all I really had for check-ins.
Same.
Okay. Cool. Let's talk about some Citadel nonsense.
Yes.
Now, this was the list that I had from my notes. Did you do all of these things?
I've done all of these things and then more because I did some of these things the first time. And so, like Kelly Chambers and Steve.
Oh, I didn't talk to Chambers. I might have a glitch because every time I walk over to where she usually is, nothing triggers. So
Yeah. And so you can speak to Kelly twice on two separate occasions. What else? I also did not only things with Liara, but with her father as well behind the bar because I'd spoken to Liara once before. But we can wait to go over that bit once you get to it is fine. But for the most part, the rest of this stuff I absolutely did do. Yeah.
this is one thing I kind of don't like is that it's unclear what triggers what and how often you have to go back and have conversations.
Yep. And that said, we were mostly at the same point for all of this, except for the Kelly Chambers stuff and the Liara stuff. Everything else I did the first time I was there, except for like the promotion, Miranda and John DeBow, because we ignored the last one on purpose and the other two hadn't triggered yet.
Steve watching ships go by.
So yeah, we pestered Steve to take shore leave and to relax and kind of, let go and kind of relax a little. And so you have a conversation about the passing ships and about his partner.
He's dealing with so much grief and survivor's guilt. I just want to give him a hug. Like, you poor man.
Yeah, and he wears it so heavy also. And like he's so serious all the time. And he does that thing that like is familiar to me where he tries to act like he's joking about certain things, but he's not. He's really sad.
Yeah. Poor guy. During this conversation, I did encourage him to go to the memorial wall.
Same.
Because it might be good for him.
Yep.
And there's something comforting about spending time with people who understand how you feel.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, especially when you're grieving or just being with like-minded people when you're struggling. I mean, that's why support groups exist for the same reason. You know, it's better to go through that stuff with other people because you feel less alone.
I'm going to jump us over to Thane in the hospital.
Yep. This is I love this moment because I mean Thane looks like Thane, right? And you encounter him in the hospital.
Using punches in front of the window.
I know, shadow boxing. Being Thane.
What are you doing? You're in a hospital.
Yeah, but he's not near anyone. He's not hurting anybody.
In the waiting room of a hospital, just like practicing punches. Not really the time or place.
He's a badass. What can you do?
I feel sad for him though, because he's here because he needs constant medical attention. His days of adventuring are done. He's no longer an assassin. He's no longer like a warrior. He has to stay.
Yep.
It's just so heartbreaking.
You can, as Shepard, though, still ask him to join you anyway, saying you have a great medical crew and you could still be with and you can help in other ways, and he turns you down.
Yeah. God, I can't imagine doing this romance.
I think I've done it with one of my femsheps, but I don't remember how it goes. I'm sure it's heartbreaking. But yeah, he says that you shouldn't be sad for him. His son visits regularly and like he has great caretakers and he's feeling okay. And that like he's accepted his fate. And like that doesn't make it easier. That doesn't make it better.
Yeah. Just do not grieve for me. And I'm just like, too late happening. I'm already grieving and I'm already sad. And he does make the kind offer that as long as the Vermeer survivor is in the hospital, they are under Thane's protection specifically.
Which is kind.
Because he's such a good friend.
He is. Speaking of the Vermeer survivor, we have a 1-2 punch for this. The first time we went to visit, it was to like see that they were awake and to check in with them, see how they're doing. And it's when I think they first tell us that they're going to get promoted to Spectre. They're going to get a shot at that. And you can either be kind of supportive or like downplay it. And of course I was supportive because of course I would be.
Yeah, I was too. For Ashley, she's still struggling with loss. She's not sure if her mother and sisters made it out at first. When she finds out that they did, she finds out that her sister's husband didn't make it. So there's just so much uncertainty in war for everyone, even for people like Shepard, for people like Ashley, and for Caden.
Yep. Caden, because he doesn't really have family, is still beating himself up over Ashley. And pretty much, says, I know that you told me to let it go, but I'm here because she's not. And I don't know that I'll ever let that go. Which, I mean, I get that. If you're directly connected to someone in that way, it's hard to let that kind of grief go. So it totally makes sense to me.
And it actually does take the promotion, and so does Kaden.
Yep.
That's really all to say about it. She sounds very choked up when she talks about it.
Kaden did as well. Like, and thanking profusely Shepard for believing in them, essentially.
Was there any Kaden flirting?
Nope.
Okay. Staying true.
Well, not even that. There wasn't any. There just wasn't an option. Like, you can be supportive, but there's no option to pursue Kaden at this point. And we're going to talk more about that later.
Well, wait. There is a thing. There's a thing where I know this from like watching videos where if you say something to Kaden about him not having a shirt on and he says something like, "Don't get my hopes up," or something like that.
Oh, maybe. I might not have explored that option, but he didn't. There was no option, at least that I recall, to flirt with him.
I'm going to find it and send it to you. I have in my notes something called support aside. Have you encountered these conversations?
Yep, where two people are arguing about something on the Citadel, and you can take a side to like tell them what they should or shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm. The first one is brain damage. The hospital is called Huerta Memorial Hospital in honor of someone who is currently in a medically induced coma, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he's currently brain dead. He is not going to be coming back anytime soon. So the person arguing against the name of the hospital says that it's disrespectful to him, call it memorial because he's still alive. Meanwhile, the receptionist is saying, well, he is, but not in a way that is functional. And therefore, she is in favor of it being called Memorial Hospital. Where did you fall on this?
On the latter.
So, in favor of it being called Memorial Hospital?
Correct. And also because it's in their honor. Alive, dead, doesn't matter. It's in their honor.
Yeah. It took me a few cycles of them arguing for me to understand what the fight was about.
Yeah.
It was just like, what's happening? But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, this person is not going to be waking up, getting out of bed, and making decisions for the hospital anytime soon. It's a memorial.
Yep. I agree.
The other one that we encounter a little later is a couple of civilians who are arguing about whether they should enlist in the Alliance military.
Yep.
What did you tell them to do?
I told them to enlist.
I told them not to enlist, to volunteer to help refugees instead.
Okay.
Well, because they don't have any combat experience, and honestly, I don't want people just like joining the military because they think it's the thing to do and then getting themselves killed, especially if they have skills doing something else.
That's fair. But my logic also is we've already recruited a ton of other folks who aren't necessarily going to be on the front lines, but can still help with the military. And my thought is if they are not combat ready, Anderson's not going to put them on the front lines on Earth. You know, Hackett's not going to put them on the front lines in space. They'll probably get put in a support role of some kind.
I mean, that's valid, but I feel like that's putting a lot of like faith in people who are already busy.
Yes. But these already busy people have pulled my ass out of the fire more times than I can count. And so I feel like if Shepard was going to insist that these folks enlist, if they reach back for questions, Shepard would make sure that they're on the right path. That's my headcanon anyway.
Well, I told them to volunteer with doctors because you know what? We need more volunteers just as much as we need soldiers.
Sure. I mean, at this point, the real problem is that we need more of everyone.
Edie's feelings about Jeff.
Ugh, this conversation is such a nightmare.
Oh, but it's so cute.
It's amazing.
It is amazing, but like, I don't know. I think it's something about being a guy in this moment or being me as a guy in that moment is I just like, I am a hopeless romantic and I'm a very romantic person, but I know how to be romantic for myself. I'm not great on the advice department other than like basic paths of logic. And so like when Edie's trying to ask questions and stuff, it's very clear she has no idea what she's talking about. It's coming from a very analytical place and it's funny and it's fun, but it's uncomfortable.
I have some favorite quotes.
Of course you do.
Yes.
When you first approach Edie, she basically says, Shepard, you have firsthand sexual experience.
And what I love is my Shepard just goes, Yes.
Yes. Where is this conversation going? And then as you discuss how Jeff reacts to her, she does say, how to provoke Jeff into a reaction.
And you're like, no.
No. No. We don't do it that way.
It has to be natural. It has to be his choice. No forcing people into relationships. Bad.
Provoke is the wrong word. The note that I love that Shepard leaves it on, or at least my Shepard left it on, was nobody ever fell in love without being a little brave.
Yes. Yeah. It's the Paragon response, and I did the same thing. I love that after this conversation, you can then go over to Jeff, who literally looks like a kid in a candy store sitting on the bench by himself, like bopping his head. Like, this is the happiest we've ever seen this man ever.
Well, I did not have a happy conversation with Jeff.
Well, yeah. Well, it doesn't last because then you start talking about the war and how it's not anywhere here and that everyone's doing great because they don't know what's going on out. Essentially a similar conversation we've already had with James a few times.
Yeah. I mean, he does have this very joyous, like, I told him that she, like, my personal emotional support mech. She has to be with me at all times.
It's great.
I think it's a little demeaning on the one hand.
That's true. I mean, but this is Joker. I'm not surprised he would do that.
It's also bending the rules so Edie can have some fun.
Yes.
He definitely loves her, but he's so salty about the lack of war news on the Citadel, and he just wants a middle ground, and it reminds me a lot of the pandemic mood. I would like there to be news and accurate news, but at the same time, I would also like to cuddle a kitten, thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to be happy and also informed.
It is a future that is very similar to our present in the fact that the mediation of what you take in is not the responsibility of the news organization, the news happening, or anything else. It's on you to decide what you can and can't consume and how much you can and can't interact. But just the same, it is fair to expect something of your fellow man. And I get where Joker's coming from. Like, I feel very similarly when I'm still walking around Brooklyn with crowded streets and tons of people are still not wearing masks. And I know people who have died of COVID. It's like, really?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
So I get that frustration. I think it's rooted in a very personal and frustrating place.
There is a horrifying parallel there between the Reapers and COVID that I don't really want to poke right now, but I'm sure you guys can more intelligently than I can.
I mean, we kind of skirt it every single episode where it's just like, oh, this mood of what if people had been prepared for something that we'd been telling them was going to happen for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, what if people took the warning seriously? Anyway, Mass Effect?
Anyway, I didn't include this in the notes because I completely forgot that it happened, but did you see the conversation between the guy trying to get the refund and the guy who was working the register?
No, I didn't see this.
Okay. This guy has been trying to get a refund for 4 years. He was in Mass Effect 1 trying to get a refund. He was in Mass Effect 2 getting the runaround, being told to go to the wrong warehouse to get a refund. And now he's back. He's just like, I desperately just want a refund, please. And normally I err on the side of supporting retail workers.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact this guy has been trying to get a refund for 4 years. So I sided with him. I was like, my man, please just give him his money back. It will not end unless you do. I have witnessed it firsthand. It will just not end. But then it turned out that it was only 12 credits he got back.
Oh no.
Wow.
I'm dying over it because it's such a customer thing to spend 4 years trying to get 12 credits back.
He probably spent more credits taking the fast travel to the store and back home.
I can't. I'm dying over it. It's the most ridiculous thing. Oh, customers are so goddamn stupid.
Yes. But to be fair, that's also because capitalism is fucking stupid.
Yes, it is. It really, really is.
says the people making a podcast about a video game series that they loved, that they paid for. We understand.
We make a podcast about art, excuse you.
Yes, but in order to engage in that art, we had to spend money to get it. So anyway.
I only had the one conversation with Liara at the cafe where I tried to remind her, like, hey, maybe you should take a break.
Yeah, you don't have to be the shadow broker all the time.
Take a break. And she tells me to go talk to Barla Vaughn, who I do.
Yep.
And talking to Barla Vaughn is very funny because he's just like, the shadow broker supports you. And I'm like, yeah, I know. She's on my ship. I know. We dated.
Did you, though?
Apparently. Apparently we dated.
According to the code.
According to the code. I don't understand how the algorithm works. Just like in TikTok.
After we're done talking to Liara, there's not much else to do in this area. So I guess let's go talk about the refugee area next.
Yes.
This area is incredibly depressing.
It is. It's really sad.
Especially considering the U.S. was dealing with refugees not that long ago, probably still is, even if it's not on the news anymore. And so, like, to see the Citadel's firm stance on how, I guess we'll let some of you in, but not all of you, just makes me hurt and angry.
There was another debate in the refugee camp where someone was trying to get their family in because they'd been separated. And the argument was like, there's literally no room. And this person is like, but like, they are my family and I am separated from them and I can't get to them. It's not like I could just leave and get to them. I have no way to do that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this debate didn't offer any nuance because what I would have preferred is, well, can you help them at least reunite with their family so at least they're together and not separated? If you can't let the family on to the Citadel automatically, can you at least get him to them? But that wasn't an option.
Nope.
So I actually opted for, like, please just let this family onto the Citadel.
That's what I did. I pretty much went, look, you can do something. There's no way you can't find 3 more spots for the rest of this man's family. Make it happen. I also, like, as Shepard, would probably have done something similar because the frustration is real to some of the frustration I feel in what is mirrored in our actual real world life. And so I think if I had any power to do something in those situations, I absolutely would. So
John raised a good point when he and I were talking about it. And it's, if you make an exception for one, you have to make an exception again and again and again and again until it doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah.
You know, these guidelines exist for a reason. And again, unfortunately, there was no nuance to this debate where we could say, like, well, the family needs to be together. Can we figure out a way to make that happen?
Right.
My boy was, of course, caring for refugees, being a perfect paragon of Turian kind.
Yep. Just helping the camps get organized, helping the Turians find what they need. And then you can chat with him a little bit about just pretty much how nightmarish the whole situation is.
Yeah. There's also an opportunity to interact with the Shepard VI, who predicts what Shepard would say with 7% accuracy.
It's awful. And my Shepard VI had no hair and was bald, even though I am not bald. I just have short hair.
Amazing.
Yeah. Also, I love that because Mark Meer is obviously doing, just like for you, Jennifer Hale is doing the voice of the VI, but it's more chipper, like false, and it's so falsely chipper that it's just I want to see those recording sessions because they're so unlike actual Shepard.
My favorite thing that the VI says is, "Hey, you're one good-looking soldier."
Thanks.
Because we look the same. Oh my god, it's so dumb and so silly.
Over here is also where you can talk to Kelly Chambers. She is one of the refugees. She ended up you ask her why she's not working for the Alliance, and she talks about, she kind of slips back into the trauma of being locked in the pod and recants some of it, and she's just like, I can't do it. It screwed me up. I couldn't go back to Cerberus after what they did, and I couldn't go back. And I couldn't join the Alliance either. And so I'm here helping out instead. She was really, really wrecked by that experience.
Oh, my poor chipper friend.
But she does say that she's happy to see you. And I was, of course, presented with an opportunity to flirt with her, which you bet your ass I did.
Of course.
Absolutely.
And she's very sweet. And then there's another conversation you can have with her that I had, which we'll cover when you get to it. And if you don't, we'll just cover it in the next episode anyway. But you get to find out more information about some stuff that she had done with Cerberus.
I didn't get to talk to her, so I will make sure to do that before our next episode. Then we get James at the bar.
Yep. James is hanging out with other soldiers. And
before we get to James at the bar, I want to take an opportunity to talk about these bullshit soldiers who keep snubbing their squad mate, Melanie, because she's a woman, and it makes them feel uncomfortable that she's hanging out with them while they're getting drinks and watching the strippers. You know what, Melanie? You come hang out with me. You come hang out with Commander fucking Shepard. We'll go see some strippers. We'll have a great time. Fuck your squad. They suck. You want to transfer to the Normandy?
Yeah, that's the gender politics writing. And like, I'm sure it's made to mirror actual experiences that happen in the military, which I know for a fact do. I'm sure Liana, when she comes back on, could absolutely speak to this, having been a woman in the military. But that said, it's just like gross and stupid and sucks.
So unhappy for her. I just want to be like, forget them. You don't need them. You have me now. I am your squad mate.
But when we talk to James, it's about the soldiers and like making them see Shepard as one of them as opposed to someone who's above them. And the conversation is very much like James going like trying to prod Shepard into admitting that Shepard thinks he's a little better than those soldiers when Shepard doesn't really feel that way.
For me, James is excessively offensive at me.
Yeah.
He makes comments like, you fill out a uniform. Like, I am your commanding officer. I will beat the shit out of you in this bar. Is that what you want?
Yeah, there's none of that.
I could see that being his fetish.
I mean, you're not wrong.
It would probably give him a lot of credibility with other soldiers.
Yeah, he doesn't pull any of that shit with me.
But I do buy the boys a drink because I want to fit in. I want them to like me.
Yeah, I do too. But I do tell James that like you shouldn't spend so much time thinking about what people think of you and just doing actions that incur the kind of respect that you want. And James is essentially like, yeah, sure, whatever. Are you going to buy them a drink or not?
Did you take the renegade trigger?
I don't think so. What was the renegade trigger?
So they do a toast, and it was Josh, do you remember this toast?
I do. Oh, God. It's a variation on an actual military toast, which is why I should know it better. Fuck.
Who's like us? And then the response was damn few, and they're all dead. But I can't remember what the call was.
That's
I just
right.
have the response down.
Who's better than us? Damn few, and they're all dead.
Yeah. It was something like that. It was the renegade trigger is because it's kind of like a, not buddy, but like a very grim response.
Yeah.
That's only well known amongst like soldiers and people who are like on the ground. It's not something that you would expect an officer to know or say.
Right.
So
yeah, I don't think I took the renegade trigger because I think mine was just who's like us, damn few. I don't think
that's what it was.
Yeah. And so I don't think I did the renegade trigger part, which is like, and then they're all dead.
It's very, very Marine Corps. They had a really good writer put that one line in.
A few more things to clear up before we go to John Dimbao. So we can visit Cortez at the Memorial Wall in the refugee area. When we talk to him, he is putting the photo, like the video of his partner down on the wall and crying and thanking us, and that it helped give him the closure that he needed. And it's just a very sweet moment, sad and sweet.
I really wish the Paragon trigger was a hug. It was just putting your hand on his shoulder. I'm like, that's not enough.
I would have hugged the hell out of him.
This needs a hug. Who wrote this?
After this, we ran into Miranda, who is filling us in on what she's been up to and checking on us. I am annoyed that the camera, again, as you're walking away with her, pans down. It's just, why?
Hey.
We know that Miranda has an excellent figure. We know that she's attractive. There's no reason to pan the camera down on her ass while we're walking away. There's no reason. It's very annoying.
It's just so obnoxious. I'm annoyed with Miranda for saying we live in interesting times. Don't say shit like that. You're gonna curse us worse than we are.
Yeah.
Say shit like that.
And so when we're talking with Miranda, she's filling us in on how her sister might be in danger again. And of course, Shepard rightfully is like, I thought we helped her. I thought she was safe. What the hell happened? And then Miranda does that Miranda thing of, oh, don't worry about it. You've got enough to worry about it. I'll take care of it. And I'm just like, come on.
She says to me, like, I don't want to overreact. I'm just like, I feel like now is the time to overreact given the current, like, state of the world. And also she says, if I need a door kicked down, I know who to call. And I'm just like, hey, mean.
Yeah.
I can do more than kick down doors.
Do diplomatic shit all the time.
I also give good hugs.
I might do it with an attitude, but I can still do it.
So that is something we're going to have to address later.
Yeah. Because I assume it's not the last of that, though I don't quite remember. And then the final thing is because there's been time between our playthroughs, when we return to Caden or Ashley again, they're fully dressed and up on their feet and talk to us about having accepted the Spectre position, that they made the decision to become the second human Spectre. Caden's like, so yeah, second human Spectre. Those are some big shoes to fill. And you can be like snarky about it and say like how no one will be like you, or support him and be like, yeah, but you're a great soldier and you're going to do a great job, which of course I said.
This was also where I found out that her brother-in-law didn't make it off of Earth, but her sisters and her mother did. She was just very emotional about the whole thing. And like, again, hugs.
I want to hug people. There should be a hug trigger in Mass Effect.
There really should. Just let me hug all of my friends. Everybody's having a really hard time right now, and I'm touch starved.
Yeah.
Like, I hug John as much as I possibly can, but there's only so much.
No, I get you. Same. Also, when you're talking to Caden, you ask Caden to come back to the Normandy, and he says yes, but he's like, there's some things I need to take care of first. He's trying to get back in contact with his squad mates from the school that he was in, because he knows they're still out there, and if they were easy to find, they wouldn't be doing their job. But he wants to connect with them first, make sure they're okay, and then he'll rejoin us.
Yeah, Ashley says that she has to wait to see what Udina wants her to do.
Yep.
Okay, and that is it. We are now caught up on Citadel nonsense.
Yes, except now we have the one biggest piece of Citadel nonsense.
Well, we planned for this.
This we planned for, yeah.
Jodam Bao is a Solarian Spectre who reached out to us a couple of episodes back to let us know that he received a tip about a Hanar diplomat who is working for the Reapers.
Yep, and more interestingly than that, he got that information from Kasumi, who is our former crew member and thief and badass. And what I love about the dynamic of this mission, this brief mission, is that it's very much you talking to Jundam Bao and then Kasumi talking to you, but not him, and following you around invisible. So you have your conversation with Jundam Bao, you form a game plan on how to try and expose this Hanar, and then you say, let me check in the Spectre office. There might be information. And of course, the minute you walk in, she appears behind you, and Shepard isn't even surprised.
Nope.
Not even a little.
Nope. This mission was a little kind of fetch questy. It was a lot of running around. No actual fighting ever needed to happen. It was all about conversation with Kasumi and Jodam Bao. But the conversation with Kasumi actually made me mad.
Oh.
Because Kasumi keeps talking about how you pushed her into a suicide mission. And I'm just like, you were hired by not me, by someone else. You took money to do that mission, and you knew that it was a suicide mission going in. You were told. You made your fucking choice.
There's clearly scars, but also what I'm curious about is, because we both said she should keep KG's gray box, right?
No, I made her destroy it.
You did make her destroy it. Okay, so then the outcome is the same for both. So I made her keep it. But like, she's talking about how she doesn't want to get roped back in. You're like, look, you can't. My Shepard says you can't spend your days with KG. You need to actually be involved and help, and we could really use your help. And she's very against it. Although there is a great moment as you're doing the fetch quest part where She asks about other people on the ship, and at one point she goes, "Well, what about Jacob? How's Jacob doing?" And you're like, "I haven't seen him. We haven't reconnected." And she's like, "Oh, Jacob, someone who could have brought me back to the Normandy."
Yeah. Which was very funny.
Yeah.
But it also annoyed me that the reason why she had got this tip is from KG's gray box.
Yep.
And I made her destroy it. And when I say that to her, she's like, "Oh, well, there were enough hints to let me piece it together." I'm like, then why did I bother fucking having you destroy it?
Yeah.
What was the point?
Yeah.
This was bad writing, BioWare.
Yep. Like they wanted
This was not good
Kasumi.
writing.
They wanted Kasumi to be there. They wanted her to be a part of this, which I get, and I love Kasumi. But they should have had it should have had more branching paths based on the decisions you made.
Yeah. I don't know. I was frustrated about this whole mission because of that. Like the conversation, the banter was good, but like there were just so many things that didn't add up for me.
I get it. I think because she kept the gray box in my playthrough, it added up better because the outcome feels more like she had the gray box no matter what. And so me having made the decision to let her keep it, it felt more in line with the narrative.
Maybe. I don't know. The whole "you roped me into a suicide mission" just really got my hackles up.
Fair enough.
I didn't rope you into shit.
Once we move through the mission, we confront the Hanar diplomat who is working with them, and it turns out he was releasing a virus to wipe out all evidence. But Kasumi comes out of stealth to try and stop it while you get attacked, and then John Bao shoots the Hanar. You disable the human, and apparently there was a bomb because, of course, there's a bomb.
Of course, there's a bomb.
And it explodes, and Kasumi goes flying and then disappears. And so you convince John Bao that she risked her life to save you. I think the pursuit is over. Because of her, we have what we need, and we've avoided a disaster. And he agrees and leaves. And then as soon as he leaves, you go, "You can come out now." And I love Kasumi's tone. She's like, "Aw, how'd you know?" This just sounds so funny.
A couple of things. Jodambao and Kasumi are my new ship.
Yes.
Perfect together. Just
Star-crossed.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Perfect romance. Kasumi says something along the lines of like, "You're trying to pull everyone into it," meaning the war. And I'm like, everybody's kind of already in it.
Yeah, we're all going to die if we don't do something about it. So,
and like I said, it just felt so uncharacteristic of her. Jacob could have gotten me onto the Normandy. She hasn't met James yet, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I think James gives Jacob a solid run for his money.
I mean, I like James better personally, so yeah.
Agree. Let's see.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Right? Matt, I have a very important question for you.
Okay.
Hanar soul names. What's Blastos?
Oh, I don't remember.
Did you pick a soul name for Blastos?
Oh no, I didn't.
Well, this is your homework assignment for the next time we play. You need to come up with a soul name for Blasto.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably he who carries the biggest gun or something like that.
I love Hanar soul names. They're so ridiculous but amazing. And also the Hanar's logic for why he was trying to side with the Reapers was actually kind of solid.
Based on their beliefs, yeah.
Yeah, well, because they worship the Protheans, and the Protheans became collectors, and the collectors serve the Reapers, so obviously they should serve the Reapers.
Right.
Obviously.
Yes. No, but yes.
And I do like that Kasumi supports his religious freedom.
Yeah.
Like, I get it.
Shut up, Kasumi.
Though I did not like Shepard calling him a stupid jellyfish, because that seems like a slur.
I mean, yeah, it does feel a little racist.
That did feel super weird, because Shepard doesn't insult people a lot, so that moment was very odd to me.
Like, I don't think this mission was written very well.
No, and if Shepard does insult someone, it's not based on their race or their sex. It's based on their incompetence, usually.
Circling back to Kasumi's death, so to speak.
Yeah.
When she says, "Oh, how'd you know?" That death was so fake. I'm surprised Jodam Bao walked out believing that you were dead.
Yeah.
Because you just did the death scene from Camille.
Yeah, and also, how did you know? And Shepard goes, "Lucky guess, because I'm Shepard and I know you. If an explosion could kill you, You're not a very good assassin.
So my opinion on that mission was that it wasn't very well written. It could have been better. It didn't really give us an opportunity to explore Kasumi any more than we have in the past. They had an opportunity to do something different with her, and they just didn't.
No, she became a caricature of what she was. And like even the resolution, when you recruit her for the mission, you recruit her to the science team to help provide supplies. And then you're like, and they're not going to check your pockets when you leave. And like the mission ends with her going, Shep, you say the nicest things. Like, which is a very Kasumi line, but like it just seems incongruous to the rest of the mission. So shall we move on to Grissom Academy?
Yes.
Yes.
And your girlfriend.
So yes, before we talk about finding my girlfriend, let's talk with Josh a little bit. Josh, why this mission? Is it just purely because Jack is one of your favorite characters?
I mean, she is one of my favorite characters, so yes. But also, I really love this mission mechanically and level design, and it feels like there's an urgency to this mission that's not in a lot of the earlier missions. To me anyway, because the addition of the kids and because you're finding things out, you're looking at data pads, there's a little bit of a detective lead up before the actual shootout. It just feels like this mission has a narrative heartbeat, like it's constantly pushing you towards something, and it's just a fun one to play.
I completely agree with you. I think that pairing these two missions drives that home even harder because Grissom Academy is very well written.
Yeah.
Like, it's narratively interesting. The portrayal of Jack is still on point, still reflects the character as we've come to know her. And it shows a level of growth that I would expect from anyone.
Yeah. And like the characters are written really well, and also the mission is streamlined in how you move through it. Like the combat at this point isn't going to change that much until we start fighting more of the Reaper conversions, like the races converted to Reapers. But while we're fighting Cerberus, those battles tend to stay pretty much the same, and I appreciate how well this mission moves. Though I had some difficulty later in the mission, and we'll get to that. But like, I appreciate the pacing. Also, I like Kaylee Sanders. I like her as a character because some of the women characters in Mass Effect tend to be written pretty two-dimensionally. And what I like about Kaylee Sanders is within minutes, you know the kind of person she is. She has development. She has drive. She has urgency. Like she's not just a blank character for you to rescue. Like she was busting her ass till you got there.
Yeah.
And literally needs you to just kill Cerberus for her because she's gotten everything else sort of under control.
She's really direct, and I like that about her.
Yep. And possibly Anderson's old fling.
She knows our dad.
She knows our dad.
Aww.
Is she our new mom?
But she doesn't see. This is what bothers me about BioWare's design of women.
Yeah.
She does not look contemporary with Dadderson.
No, they don't look the same age at all. No.
She's supposed to be like in her 40s to 50s.
Uh-huh.
But she looks like she's 20.
Yep.
30 at most.
Yep.
Like there's absolutely no way she's contemporary with Anderson. And it's just, that's creepy in terms of appearance. But I don't think that she's supposed to appear that young. I think she's supposed to be older.
Probably, yes.
They just suck at designing older women.
Yeah.
She makes a comment about working with Anderson when he was up for Spectre. So that she's got to be that old. It's just really weird.
Exactly. And that was like 10 years prior, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
10 to 20 years prior.
Yeah.
So she has to be about his age, but she just doesn't look it, and that bothers me. But that's a design thing. That's not a writing or an in the world thing. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, it's meta. It's on the meta.
Before we even get there, though, I really like this exchange with Joker where you ask him to give you a distraction, and he's just like, he gives you this utter glee. Like, can I?
And going back to the cinematography of this game, the shot where the shuttle leaves the ship and the ship turns and flies towards the camera, that's one of the first times we really get a sense of scale of the Normandy versus the Kodiak. Because in a lot of the other scenes, like the Normandy is in the center of the screen and the Kodiak is like a speck. But here, like it's the Kodiak is pretty large on screen, and then the Normandy comes towards the camera, and it just looks really cool.
I took Garrus and Edie with me, by the way.
I took Garrus and James.
I also took Garrus and James.
Excellent. I took James. I've been taking James because I didn't use James a lot in previous playthroughs because I was like, ugh, another human, boring. And which is unfair. It was unfairly how I treated Caden in the first game. And so back in the day, not this time through. So I was like, I want to bring James along more. Also because I know I haven't heard all of James' reactions to stuff. And James and I and Garrus were all on the previous mission together on Leviathan at the end. And so I really wanted to like keep that bonding experience going. Just me and the boys hanging out, you know.
Bros.
Exactly. But I'm glad I brought Garrus because there's a creepy moment later. Not creepy, but eerie moment that happens later that was really interesting.
Going through the school, we eventually run into good old Jack. I am very happy about this. I think working with kids is an excellent choice for her. It gives her a place to like channel all of her protective energy.
Mm-hmm.
And like it allows her to connect with people and to prevent them from suffering the same experiences that she did as a powerful biotic as a child.
Yeah, it's really great. I also love how she interacts with the kids. She has the very cool uncle vibe, like, you know, cursing, trying not to curse and like telling them to drink their juice and like pay attention and to not be an ass and stuff like that. Like, I just love that vibe.
Oh my God. I just realized something.
What?
I had the thought to myself of, oh, Jack is the uncle friend. And then my brain took another leap of, oh, who else do I know who's an uncle friend?
No. Don't you dare.
But she is!
I feel like I've missed something.
Josh's partner, Margot.
Oh, okay.
Who I adore immensely and I miss a lot. And who is, in fact, the uncle friend.
I have a type, okay?
Yeah.
This moment was obviously very different for me and Josh than it was for you, as I assume Josh has romanced her in the past.
I still had something funny.
So you, for male Shep, if you've romanced her, you walk up to her, she punches you in the face, and then says, "That was for leaving." And then she picks you up by your collar and then starts making out with you as all the kids start cheering.
Cute. I got punched in the face because didn't I tell you that Cerberus was terrible? And I was like, and I agreed with you every step of the way. Why are we hitting me? I had no choice. I helped you destroy their facilities. Stop hitting me. But also she said something. And Garrus walks up being like, Jack, as charming as ever. And Jack goes, bite me, Garrus. Or better yet, bite her. I'm sure that's how she likes it.
Oh, amazing.
So I still got something funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny to have that happen. And then, you know, you get to have a heart-to-heart with her. You get to tell her that she looks good. And she pretty much goes, don't go there. We have to save these kids. Like, she becomes all business afterwards, which was pretty funny.
I also told her that she looked good.
I mean, it's still a true statement.
She does. She looks very good.
The character design on her model specifically, how like they decided to show her growth by taking a military uniform and kind of bass-ackwardsing it, is really interesting. And yeah, she looks great.
I love it.
Also, I'm a fan of undercuts as I sport one, and so she looks good with an undercut. That is for sure.
I'm just like so happy for her. She's living her best life. She's taking care of people who could have ended up like her, but instead they're in a safe environment, and she can make sure that they stay safe and she can train them. And like she calls me Queen of the Girl Scouts, but then she turns and she says to her kids, grab juice and an energy bar. And I'm like, who's a Girl Scout now?
Yeah. She calls Male Shepherd the King of the Boy Scouts. Also, you can ask her about us as part of the conversation after that fight. And she pretty much says that the focus is on the kids right now. And she's still pissed that you left. And even though you explain, you're like, look, I had to. I didn't leave. I had to turn myself in. I blew up an entire galaxy.
I committed a war crime.
Again.
Again. Yeah. Not the first.
I couldn't do anything about it. Oh, I'm sorry that your girlfriend is giving you a hard time.
Yes. Though what's interesting here, and I think Josh can agree too, is like, and especially after the last mission we talked about, the writing here, even though Jack has changed, still feels within her character. It doesn't feel like she was changed to fit the story. It feels like she grew as a character.
I completely agree with that.
It's actually, I think, the best way this game handles the sea change. We see a lot of that where, like, we don't see a character for a while. They come back and they're radically different. And it's very Shakespeare. And Jax, I'm like, no, I totally buy every step of that.
Me too. Like, Liara's shift was a little harder to accept, whereas this shift for Jack, this is a natural trajectory for her. This makes complete and total sense.
For sure. So after this section, we do some more fighting through the building. This time now, Jack and before you leave, once you open the security door, Jack asks how you want them to support, whether it's just being defensive and helping where they can or being aggressive. I, of course, chose the Paragon answer and told them to protect themselves and like get in shots where they can.
Me too. They're kids. They're teenagers. Like, I don't fucking need you picking fights with Cerberus face to face. No thanks.
Yeah. And so they totally do too. They throw the odd pull and other things.
That's what I did as well. I was super uncomfortable with the idea of sending cadets to be infantry. That feels weird.
Agree.
Yep. And this section was a little difficult for me. I died quite a bit just because I am a vanguard. I like to charge in and disperse. My cooldowns are now at plus 200%, which means, or minus 200%, however that math works out, where I have no cooldowns. But to use the shockwave, you lose your barrier, you lose your shield. And so I charge in melee, explosion, shockwave, but with a mech and so many fucking engineers, like I'll charge in and then get torn up by miniguns all around me. And it was really frustrating. I had to go around and pick off people. When your main weapon is a shotgun, picking people off is a challenge. So I use my squad mates a lot for these fights because I couldn't get in close.
Easier time, I use a pistol. I use a lot of like distance powers, like slam and throw and cryoblast. Usually warp and slam are my two that I use a lot. So this was fairly easy on me, but there were a lot of shields, there were a lot of engineers, and that got frustrating, so there was a lot of overloading as well.
I usually play as somebody with access to technical powers, either the engineer or the infiltrator. So this was easier on me because a lot of mechs, a lot of people with shields.
Yeah, it's not like it's a challenging fight, I think, in general. I think it's just based on the playstyle that I'd used up until this point, because this is essentially a funnel. It's a pit that you're standing in until you walk out of that second area. It made it harder for me.
Yeah.
But once I started using my SMG and I started like doing some distance combat, I was fine.
We run into another familiar face as we are making our way through this school, and anyone who remembers doing Project Overlord will remember David Archer.
We run into David Archer. We take out some goons trying to kill him and two other students. We walk up and say that we're with the Alliance. We actually know David, and the woman protecting him, of course, rightfully so, said, that didn't work for the last guy. I am not letting you in. And then David starts to recite his numbers and Shepard finishes it.
Yeah.
And then she lets the barrier down.
He looked so healthy and so good, and it made me really emotional because we got him out of a really bad and abusive place, and now he's thriving.
Yep. And I don't know if this happened for you, but I remember I brought Garrus on that mission. When David stands up and thanks you, he also says that it's good to see you too, Garrus. Thank you. And Garrus is stunned and just pretty much says, I'm glad that you're doing better. And it was just this, not necessarily creepy is the wrong word I used earlier, but it's this really weirdly haunting moment because it immediately took me back to all of the things we went through with David to try and rescue him. And for that recognition and that moment of acknowledgement, and for him to have come so far and to be doing so much better was just this weird swirl of emotions in the same way that you felt. It was really interesting.
So for me, he actually interacted with Edie.
Mm-hmm.
Because Edie was also like beaming at him and saying how he looks so much healthier. And he says to her like, oh, like you were there too. Like you were the ship. I'm so sorry about attacking you. I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh, wow.
And like they have this nice moment and then you tell them where to go so that way they can join with the other students. And he also like tells you where you can find lots of guns. And when I got into the room, I was like, did you mean a gun, David?
Yeah, because there's a gun and a mod.
You count so good, David. How did you count one gun as lots of guns?
Yeah, it's really interesting that you feel the absence of that moment if you do a playthrough where you didn't send David to Grissom Academy, which I've done for my Renegade playthrough, and it's just so nice it's rare that Shepard gets to see the direct benefit of saving a civilian. You know, typically, if you've saved someone, it's either your partner, your teammate, or someone on the squad. It's really nice to get to interact with a civilian that you've saved that has almost no combat experience. That is just someone trying to be better. Because it's a different experience.
Nothing but good things for David Archer.
Yes.
How did you feel about using the Atlas to fight? Did you use it to fight?
Hell yeah, I did.
Absolutely.
It makes that fight non-existent. Like, I get why they let you use the Atlas, and it's cool. And because I'd been so frustrated with the previous battle, I used it as a close combat person to have to avoid fighting with any sort of accuracy with my missiles and my minigun and my melee attack. But it breaks that fight. If you're using the Atlas, like it's just a matter of time until you're done. Did you use it?
Yes. Let me tell you, using the missiles on Cerberus was both satisfying and visceral because
It's
they
gross.
explode in meat.
They turn into guts.
It's awful, but great at the same time. And does that make me a bad person? Who knows?
I feel like if you revel in the deaths of space Nazis, you're okay. You're not a bad person.
Oh, good.
You're fine.
Yeah. Wishing harm on those who have purposely harmed others, I think it washes out. But yeah, what makes it more visceral is it's not just the look of it, but the sound. It makes like a plopping, meaty sound when you blow them up. It's gross.
Do you know what it reminds me of? There was this Xbox arcade game that you and I used to play.
Explosion Man.
Yeah! It reminded me of that. Because when you kill the enemies in that, they explode in like literal cuts of meat.
Yeah, because it was cartoony as heck. That's pretty funny. After this combat, after you eviscerate all of the Cerberus troops, you get everyone on the shuttle to escape. And then, of course, lo and behold, someone who's been getting yelled at the whole time, Rodriguez, is falling behind. And so you go with Jack to save her. This move where Jack, again, incredible cinematography, when Rodriguez is really pinned down, Jack just summons her biotics and shatters the window in front of you as you're trying to bash it with your gun. It just looks really cool. Jack is a badass.
She is. It's really cool. And when you're in the shuttle with Jack and all the students afterwards, she's gonna treat everyone to tattoos.
Yeah.
I love it.
If you're in a relationship with her, you get a trigger here. So she's talking about the students, and before you finalize the conversation, which we'll talk about our last choice that we make, you can take a Paragon trigger, and if you do, you shut her up by grabbing her and making out with her, and all the students look on. And then she says that she hoped, something along the lines of "we should talk" or "I hope to see you again," kind of a thing. So I don't know if that's a relationship confirming thing, which means I can't pursue Caden. But I'm also not sure how I feel about Caden, because I was really happy to see Jack, and I was really happy to share that moment and see her growth and see how she's doing. So we'll see.
We'll see. There is this moment where you have to decide what to do with the kids. And you can either have them take a more active role, or you can keep them on support. And Jack gives you this look.
Yeah.
that says, if you do not put them on support, I will murder you in your sleep.
I, of course, chose to put them on support.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get murdered in my sleep.
Yeah, why? Again, children aren't infantry. I don't.
Yeah.
And then Rodriguez gets really pissed, but then Jack like makes fun of her and, you know, tells them that they're still going to see action and can take pot shots while protecting other people. Yeah, this mission, it's funny. It moves really quickly. It doesn't feel like a lot, but it feels satisfying in a way that longer missions don't always feel.
Yeah. Like, it was funny, it was well written, it showed a great deal of character growth without being like overbearing or without being unrealistic. Like, it was just a well written mission. Like, it even ended on a very satisfying note.
Yeah.
It also made me realize that there's really not a lot of cursing in Mass Effect.
No, Jack did most of it in the second game.
But yeah, and that was it for Grissom Academy.
Yep. As someone who romanced her in the second game and then was reunited with her, those warm moments were really well written and really well done. Even when Jack is kind of being a jackass, because she is sometimes, a lot of the time. But I'm curious to see if I can pursue the relationship further and move forward with Jack. I like her a lot. I like what she's done for Shepard. I like what Shepard's done for her. So hopefully there are more opportunities. I've never had a relationship with Jack before this playthrough, so I don't know where it goes. Does that mean that I won't have the talk with Kaden? I don't know yet. I'm undecided. But I will say, as a human in physical space, I am a monogamous person. I don't do the open relationship thing, so I guess we'll see.
We also get to talk to her dad.
Yes.
That's right.
He's very happy to hear that Kaylee is doing okay, that you were able to rescue her. And also happy to hear that she said for him to stay alive.
Yep. There's definitely something there.
Uh-huh. We're gonna get a new mom. The only quotes that I have here are, that doesn't give you permission to go all formal on me. And stay alive.
Yeah.
So, and then that's all I have.
Yep. Same. My final thoughts on this mission is I wish more missions in Mass Effect felt like this. I don't know that they have to be structured like this, and I assume as we reunite with other crewmates or, you know, recruit more people onto the Normandy, as we will over the next few episodes, we'll get some more of that. And I know that we do, but I liked how this mission left me feeling. It felt very complete.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite missions in all of the games. And there's a quote that you can get Jack to say, I forget quite how, where she's talking about getting everybody a tattoo, and she says that she's going to get an N7 logo on her ass. And that really just sums up everything that's great and wonderful to me about Jack specifically and this mission as a whole. It's just beautiful and mean and really interestingly profane in the best way.
I mean, that describes Jack to a T.
For sure. All right. Well, that sums up Grissom Academy. Shall we dive into the fandom corner?
The fandom corner. I'd like to shout out Tia Verde and Studio Scorpion on Etsy. They're making Mass Effect themed masks that look really sturdy and comfortable, as well as aesthetically pleasing. So if you're looking for some PPE that has personality, that would show off your fandom, then head on over to their shops on Etsy. There is both an N7 and an Andromeda Initiative mask on Studio Scorpion. And the other one has a whole bunch of different kinds of geeky masks. And they have specifically... Oh, do they not have it anymore? Oh no, I'm like going to look at it now, and I think that the item I was looking at, yeah, it's sold out. And it was a Tally themed mask, and it had the purple swirls of Tally's outfit.
That's cool.
So it is not there anymore, alas.
Well, still go check out both those shops anyway. They have other masks. And as if I didn't have to say it, but I'll say it anyway, wear a fucking mask. We're not through the pandemic yet. It's not over. Please keep wearing masks. Please keep social distancing. Thank you.
Emulate our Quarian brothers and sisters and nibblings.
Yes.
And siblings.
It looks like we have a new review to read as well.
Yes, we do have a new review. It is one that we missed. We got it back in August. And this is titled My Favorite Podcast on the Citadel from Monica. Matt and MJ take us on a deep dive into Mass Effect. I love the game, so it is a great insight on how others play the game and what their take on missions and characters are. Their chemistry is great, and you can tell they are both very passionate about the game. I listened to a few retrospective podcasts. The difference is that Reignite has an active community on Discord. We talk about the current episode and get our Mass Effect on. The hosts are very active on there too. It's the perfect DLC to this podcast. Thank you for your amazing work. I'm extremely excited to see what else they have in store.
Thank you, Monica. That was very kind.
Yeah, it was a really sweet one.
Keep the reviews coming, Apple iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, but iTunes helps us the most to get featured. But if you keep writing them, we'll keep reading them. We love hearing from all of y'all. That's why we do this.
Also, definitely join our Discord.
Yes, please. You can find a permanent invite link at certainpov.com. That's certainpov.com.
I have a thread specific for Matt to not enter, so we can talk about things that Matt doesn't know.
Yes. The next of those things to come up is the Citadel DLC, which I have not played, which we will get to closer towards the end of the pod. Anyway, MJ, do we have something else going on that they should know about?
Yes, we do. As you know, N7 Day approaches. So in order to celebrate N7 Day this year, we are going to try something a little different. We are collecting fan fiction, which we would like to turn into small little audio dramas or radio plays. So head over to tinyurl.com/N7day to submit your fic. We're looking for about 3 to 5. We'll narrate them with our colleagues on the CPOV network, and we'll shout out the content creators who are still making things for this amazing universe that we love so much. And if we don't choose yours, please don't fret. I'm going to hang on to every single submission we get so I can use them for future fandom corners.
Awesome. Excellent. Yeah, please submit. N7 Day also is the day that I am doing Extra Life along with other members of Certain POV, which is a charity for children's hospitals through the Children Miracle Network. So I will be streaming for 24 hours that day. But we will be releasing something that day that we have recorded, or several somethings based on what you submit.
So that's just a reminder, tinyurl.com/N7day. And if you have any questions, please just email us reignitepod@gmail.com.
Also, we want to congratulate. We had a contest and we had a winner. MJ's been making awesome Reignite swag, posting it on the Discord, and one of those items that she has made is a Reignite acrylic charm, which the incredible Kayla won. So congratulations, Kayla.
I just want to cut you off. I did not make this one. This is the one that
really?
This is the one that I got from Sticker Mule. I ordered a small batch, and we just never decided what to do with them. So I had a small batch of them, and I decided that we're going to do giveaways for them. But yes, congratulations, Kayla. You're amazing. Thank you so much for participating. I will get that out in the mail for you. I just wanted to get all the materials for packaging it nicely.
Yep. So congratulations again. We are going to do more giveaways soon, more acrylic charms, as well as stickers, pendants, and maybe other things. So keep an eye out for all that.
Our next episode focuses on Priority Sirkesh with our pod crush, Ian Arbuck.
Yep. Ian is also a podcaster and an incredibly huge Mass Effect fan. So we're excited to have Ian back on for a third time. Josh, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This has been a blast. I love being on.
Just one more time, tell folks where they can find you and your work on the internet.
Excellent. False Edge Armory on Facebook and Instagram. And if you keep an eye on that, you'll see anything I'm doing performance-wise, theatrical-wise, and you'll see the prop company I run with my aforementioned partner, Margot.
Awesome. Excellent.
If you like what you heard here, follow us on social media. We're at ReignitePod on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram, facebook.com/ReignitePod, or you can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcatcher if you can. It helps us get seen so other people can find us.
We are members of the Certain POV podcast network. You can visit certainpov.com, like I said earlier, to find links to a ton of nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view, as well as a permanent invite link to our Discord server on that website. So you can join in the conversation with this show, as well as all of the other shows on the network.
We also work on some other projects. Aside from Reignite, you can find me on Circle of Friendship and the Rob Thomas No Not That One Robcast. I am also on the cast of Archives of the Dragon, where we stream Changeling the Dreaming. You can catch me there playing a punk rock selkie who has no idea what they're doing every Friday. Twitch.tv/Archives of the Dragon.
I do a ton of podcasts as well on and off the network. The newest one of which I'm working on is called Shut Up Evan. It is about gay shit and pop culture. That is the tagline. Hosted by the incredible Evan Ross Katz. I produce that show and occasionally ask questions in the interview as well. It's an incredible, incredible show. As of when this aired, our most recent guest is Chloe Feynman of SNL fame. You should definitely go check it out. I'm really proud of it. I'm proud of all the things I do, but this one is new and fresh, and so I want to point people towards it. And of course, I am still streaming on twitch.tv/DJ_Stormageddon. As of when we're recording, I'm currently making my way through Dead Space, a game I have never played through before, and I am a coward. So come watch me get scared constantly by space zombies. Are you okay there, Frankie?
Making my way through space, screaming loud.
Oh my god.
You're the worst.
I mean,
You said best incorrectly. Best.
if I were the best, I'd have more than just those 2 lines.
That's true. Yeah, I have a feeling that you're going to be busting into my stream tomorrow with the full lyrics. Anyway, I think we have other people to thank.
Dude, thank you to Red Spanx for our It's Okay to Be a Marshmallow t-shirt on Redbubble, featuring our favorite marshmallow kid in the Linko. You can find more of their work at Chaos Art on Instagram. We'd also like to thank Case Aiken for developing more amazing shirt designs that you can find through certainpov.com or on Teespring, and David Boyle for designing our logo, which you can also get on a shirt through Redbubble. Finally, thank you to Dan Bull for letting us use the Mass Effect rep for our theme music. I'm MJ.
And I am Matt A.K. Stormageddon.
And I'm Josh Coslar. We should go.
You're listening to Reignite. I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite podcast on the Citadel.
Hey there, Screen Beans. Have you heard about Screen Snark?
Rachel, this is an ad break. They aren't screen beans until they listen to the show.
Fine. Potential Screen Beans. You like movies and TV shows, right?
I mean, who doesn't? Screen Snark is a casual conversation about the movies and television shows that are shaping us as we live our everyday lives.
That's right, Matt. We have a chat with at least one incredible guest every episode, hailing from all walks. We've interviewed chefs,
writers, costumers, musicians,
yoga teachers, comedians, burlesque dancers,
folks in the film and TV industry,
and more.
We'd be delighted for you to join us every other Monday on the Certain POV Podcast Network.
Or wherever you get your podcasts, fresh and tasty off the presses.
What? That's not...
Can I call them Screen Beans now?
Fine.
Screen Beans!
So tune in and we'll see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere.
'Cause you're all Screen Beans now.
You will be mine.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.